Good morning. In the previous video, we went over installing a couple of those windows, the one you can see behind me and one more on the south end of the shed we've got built here. This morning, what I'm going to go over is better detailing the window install, building the sill, using the adhesive flashing, and just prepping it in general on getting everything ready to go in for this window. It's getting close to Christmas. I hope everyone is doing well, and I'd like to get this started. So let's get to work. What I've done is marked along the vapor barrier the areas that I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut here approximately 2 inches. I've also marked it here, along here where we're going to cut vertically, also 2 inches. All of these measurements are approximations. They don't have to be exact. We're not building Taj Mahal. Your line, you don't have to mark this. Again, they're not going to be perfect. The adhesive flashing that we've got is going to overlap that quite a bit. What we're just trying to do is get it, just cut it back enough so that the window frame will sit within there. You're going to, when you attach your adhesive flashing, it's going to attach to your vapor barrier, to the wall OSB, and then to the window frame itself. So this doesn't have to be perfect. I just drew this so that you would have an approximation of what I was doing. So we're going to cut along here at the level of the sill. We're going to cut along the sides. And as you can see here at the top, you can see we've marked a 45-degree line right there. We're going to cut that, and we're going to fold this vapor barrier back and just staple it right there to the roof. And we're just going to get it out of the way. So I'm going to cut these, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I get that cut. Okay, so I've got that cut out. You can see that the side areas are exposed. The bottom is not, and the top is exposed. I've cut those 45-degree angles, and I folded that back. The reason this is cut the way it is because everything we're doing in this to ensure it's going to remain dry and that moisture is wicked away from the house rather than towards the house, we're going to use what is called a shingling effect. And I may not have explained that in the past, but what we're going to do is we're going to start at the bottom, and then everything else from that point is going to be layered so that it is over the top of the bottom. So that as water hits the building, it hits this top layer, and as it comes down, it's directed over that next layer. You don't want to do it just the opposite, because if you did the top first and move down, as that rain hit that top layer and comes to that next union, it's got a gap that it can get under and get under all of the layers that you put there to ensure that the wood remains dry. If you do that and it gets under that layer, and then you have water underneath this vapor barrier or underneath on the sill itself, that water will sit there and it will rot the wood on the sill or the side or wherever your water is getting in. So you always want to ensure that you put the bottom down first, and then you move up, and as water hits that, it's going to hit the top, and it's going to just go over that where they connect, and it's going to continue to run down the exterior of the building and not get to the exposed wood itself. We don't want any wood exposed, and we don't want any areas that water can get in and set, especially on a window, because it'll just sit there and it'll rot away that sill. And we definitely don't want that. So the first thing I'm going to do, and this is a little bit of overkill, is I'm just going to put a strip of adhesive flashing along the bottom right here. And the reason I'm doing that is just personal preference. As we put the adhesive flashing in the sill itself, when we fold it over, it only overlaps about 2 inches. And I would just like a little more overlap than that, and that's just me. I know it's a shed and I know it's overkill. Nonetheless, I personally prefer to have a little more overlap than that. So the first thing I'm going to do is measure this distance from here to here, and I'm going to put a piece of adhesive flashing right along the bottom. One thing to note about this adhesive flashing is it is extremely tacky. So be prepared when you get going. make sure you're lined up and you're where this wants to be, because otherwise it will stick to everything and get a bunch of wrinkles, and you want to do it right the first time. So what I generally try to do is keep the top line of the tape or the adhesive flashing where I want it, and I only peel back as much as I need as I go. So I try to keep this in line, and then I'll pull that as I go. And what it will do is lay right along that area that I want it to lay, right along the edge right here. If you try to peel it all off at once, you're going to end up with a pretty good wad of tape. At least that's what I've done every time. Every time I've tried to peel it off and do it at one fatal swoop, I end up with a big wad of tape. So all right, so that's what we got right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a roller and I'm going to go over that really well. The roller helps adhese or creates enough heat in the adhesive that it sticks better and keeps it stuck exactly where you need it to be. You don't ever want it to come loose or anything like that. What we're trying to do is prevent moisture from getting underneath. So we'll take a good roller, roll it along there, along all the seams, just to ensure that that is fastened on there and all of the adhesive sticks to what we want it to stick to. The next thing we're going to do is, again, cut a piece of tape that is going to fit on the bottom of the sill and up 8 inches. You can see I've got it marked on this side and here. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay that adhesive flashing on the sill up to this 8 inches. That just protects us in case any water were to it's not going to get into a crack or any nooks or crannies anywhere in the windowsill itself, thus creating a good sill plate with that adhesive flashing. So I'm going to measure that, make sure that I've got 8 inches on both sides, and then I'm going to go on the inside and we'll start laying that in there. Now that that adhesive's in place and kind of secured, I'm just going to start on one corner and I'm going to peel it back just like I did before, and I'm going to start right along the edge and just securing it all the way down as I go. As I get to the corner with the adhesive, I'm going to use something to ensure that it really gets into that corner well and get secure to that corner. We want that to ensure that we don't have any areas or any gaps or any spot that water can get in. Now I'm going to slowly peel this back, ensuring that it's falling right on the line here on my sill. Now this doesn't have to be perfect. None of this has to be perfect. But we do want to do the job as well as we can. We want to ensure that nothing is going to allow moisture into our sill. Now we've got flexible adhesive, so we can flex that and seal it down and around. If you don't have a flexible adhesive, you can cut that, and then what we do is put another piece of tape there to overlap. So I'm going to continue now. Right up to the corner, you can see me peeling back the backing here. I'm gonna go right to that corner again, ensuring that I use something to get that really well into the corner before I continue up the other side here. Now I'll do the same thing. I'll secure it around the side and bottom and roll that over so that it fastens to the piece of adhesive that I put down before and to the OSB wall and to the vapor barrier on the exterior. Now again, I'm going to use the roller, ensuring that that gets fastened down to everything and adheres to everything very well. We want that to be a very good bond to everything that we've attached it to in the sill. So we already had the bottom of the sill in place. We leveled the window and we caulked the sides and the top, but not the bottom. We don't want anything to seal along the bottom. That way, if moisture happens to get in there for whatever reason, it's got a place to go and come out. We don't want it to be sealed in under the window and on the sill plate itself. What I've done now is I've measured from the 45-degree here at the top all the way down so that it overlaps the bottom of this window to approximately here. We've added the adhesive flashing to the sides. Now we've got the sides on. Now we're going to put one across the top right here to seal the top, and then we're going to put a drip edge over the top of that. Okay, you can see we've applied the adhesive flashing there at the top of the window. We're going to put a drip edge above, and then we'll seal above that and at the top of the drip edge, and then we'll fold that flap over. Okay, I know it's difficult to see, but now we've got the drip edge installed to where it overlaps the window and protrudes outside of the window. Now we're going to put another piece of adhesive flashing along the top to seal so that it overlaps that flashing so that nothing can get behind the flashing as well. Okay, so we finally have the adhesive flashing over the drip edge now. We're going to fold down that vapor barrier that we have tacked up right there. We're going to fold it down. We're going to seal the corners that are cut at a 45, and then we're going to just put a couple of pieces along the bottom of it to ensure that it doesn't come back up, but we don't want to seal that off all the way for the same reason. We don't want water to get stuck under there and have nowhere to go. Okay, so you can see that we finished here. We folded our flap of vapor barrier back down, and we sealed those cuts that were set at 45 degrees on both sides here. We secured the vapor barrier in these three positions over the top of that galvanized drip edge, and that is the finished product. As water comes off, obviously we're going to have siding. It would come on the siding, but if it were to get under the siding, it would hit that adhesive flashing, come down over the top. It would continue down and continue over anything in its path, and it would go down the wall and would never come in contact with the wood behind it, which is the plan.